Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Trek, where I'll be talking about and reviewing an episode of the original series, The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, or Enterprise. Today, I'm looking at Pathfinder from Voyager's 6th season, or as I like to call it, that time Neelix was a cat. This episode was requested by BC Barron. Thank you for the suggestion, and let's get going. We begin the episode with Reg Barclay fluffing around before getting a visit from Deanna Troi. Wait, this is Voyager, right? It's kind of awkward, and they talk about Geordi before Troi mentions the Pathfinder project, which Reg says he's no longer working on, and his cat Neelix goes to town on some ice cream. Troi asks what's wrong, and Reg admits he's become obsessed with Voyager. Ah, good, so this is a Voyager episode. And into the credits we go. Reg apologizes to Troi for bothering her before techno-babbling at her, which loses her, and he recounts his tale. On the holodeck, he does some tests which allows communication with Voyager, but is caught by Pete, who chastises him for slacking on his duties. Reg babbles that a passing pulsar could be used to create a wormhole to communicate with Voyager, but Pete says his failed experiments have cost him time and respect, before reminding him not to talk during an upcoming meeting with Tom's Admiral Dad. That night, Pete finds Reg tinkering and invites him over, but Reg turns him down in favour of going to a holographic version of Voyager, where he's very popular. He sits down with Tom, Harry, B'Elanna and Chakotay to play cards and calls them his best friends, before getting a massage from the doc along with a pep talk. He goes to sleep in his holographic quarters and then gets requests from the crew to help him out, which he finds more interesting than the meeting he goes to, where Pete estimates where Voyager is now. He mentions the Midas array, which they could eventually use to send a message to Voyager, but Reg butts in with his pulsar theory, although he's rather bumbling as per usual. Admiral Paris is interested, but Pete tells Reg off, who says they should at least try. However, he accidentally insults the Admiral, so Pete tells him to go home.
But that was not a suggestion.
Reg admits to Troi that he went back to the holodeck, which she's not impressed with, but the staff meeting on Voyager helped him to work out some of the finer details of his plan. He plays catch with Chakotay while figuring things out, but Pete interrupts, annoyed that he's been hiding in the holodeck, and Reg says he's worked out a solution. Pete challenges him on his holodeck usage and says he's relapsed into his addiction, so Reg shouts at him, and Pete bans him from the project entirely. Admiral Paris agrees to see Reg because he won't leave.
You're frightening my secretary, Mr. Barclay.
So Reg apologizes and then produces his refined plan, but the Admiral doesn't want his personal feelings to get in the way, and Reg isn't happy. He wants Deanna to help and rants at her.
There is nothing wrong with me!
So she says he needs to let Voyager go.
That ship, that crew, they're all I have.
Troi asks him why, and Reg tearfully explains that he felt lost after leaving Enterprise because they were his family. So Troi reminds him how he was when he first joined Enterprise and promises to help him. That night, Reg can't sleep, so goes to the office only to find himself locked out. So he breaks in and gets to work on his plan, which is very techno-babbly. He creates a micro wormhole and sends a message to Voyager, but is caught by Pete, so he flees onto the holodeck with security after him and asks Tuvok for help. Pete tries to shut down the program and calls for more security, who corner Reg in engineering, so B'Elanna tries to shoot them with no success. Pete goes into the holodeck and vaporizes B'Elanna before initiating a warp core breach and going to the bridge, telling Reg to turn himself in.
One way or another, this program's gonna end.
To save Voyager, Reg ends the program, while on the real Voyager, Seven picks up the wormhole and Reg's message, which Janeway wants to reply to. The Admiral shows up just as Voyager's reply comes through, so Reg is able to talk to Janeway, who sends a bunch of data through, and in turn, he sends her some upgrades. The Admiral is able to get a message through to Tom before the wormhole collapses, and Pete apologizes for doubting the plan. Reg is sad because it's all over, while on Voyager, the Doc spills his medical history to everyone before Tom proposes a toast to Reg, and Troi congratulates him, who says he has a date. Okay, so I was not looking forward to this one, as I'm not a fan of Reg Barclay or Deanna Troi, and this episode has a lot of both. As I said in my review of the Next Generation episode Hollow Pursuits, I'm a big A-Team fan, and I'm used to seeing Dwight Schultz as howling mad Murdoch, so Reg Barclay feels dull in comparison. I also am not a fan of an iteration of the franchise being taken over by characters from a different series, but I have a new appreciation for this episode. Would I prefer a Voyager episode to be about the Voyager crew? Of course, but Reg was much more connected to the story than Troi and Riker were in the Enterprise finale. Reg is quite a layered character, and Schultz brings a lot of nuance to him in this episode. Particularly poignant is the scene where he tells Troi how he feels he lost his family since leaving Enterprise. On previous watches of this episode, I've been a little bored because it's not action heavy or full of dynamic characters, but on this watch, I appreciated it for its quietness and slow build. Maybe because it's been a while since I watched Voyager in its entirety, or maybe because I see a little of myself in Reg, but for whatever reason I enjoy it more than I have previously. Troi, I guess, wasn't necessary, otherwise we wouldn't have had that scene of Reg upset, but also cutting back and forth to the two of them pulled from the main story a bit. It's a high-rated episode which I understand now and has a lot of heart to sell the storyline. So there you have it. That was Pathfinder. If there's an episode of Star Trek you'd like me to cover, pop it down in the comments below or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot, or consider subscribing if you want to be assimilated into my channel. Alternatively, feel free to check out my other YouTube channels. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and live long and prosper.